Hey guys, Secrets of Dumbledore may not have been a perfect movie, but every once in a while, a movie or book will do something amazing. And that is that it will go back and fix a mistake from a previous installment. And that's exactly what happened with Secrets of Dumbledore. Here we go. Now, I don't think there's more egregious of a time to put a plot hole than the opening credits of a movie. And boy oh boy, is the Wizarding World kind of infamous for doing this. And I'm looking directly at you, Prisoner of Azkaban, when Harry actually performs magic in the opening scene of this movie. Literally, the fact that you can't do magic outside of school is a point they make later on in this movie.
Away from me.
You're not allowed to do magic outside school.
Yeah? Try me.
They won't let you back now. You've nowhere to go.
And yet Harry is completely doing magic in the very opening scene of this movie. Not to mention Goblet of Fire just giving away who the villain was in the opening scene, which is supposed to be a surprise that we find out at the very end of the book. Bah! Guys, right before I jump into it, thanks to everyone who's liked and subscribed. It means a lot, and it's good to have all of you here. There's a lot more than I really expected at any point. And I hope we just keep growing, so thanks a lot for your support. But anyways, here I'm talking about the opening of Crimes of Grindelwald. See, in the opening of this movie, even before the title sequence plays, we see Grindelwald escape from custody. He'd been held by MACUSA ever since he was captured at the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and it's only at the beginning of this movie that he escapes his confinement, which is done because of a forced prisoner exchange in which Grindelwald needs to be transported back to Europe to answer for his crimes there. And so we see Grindelwald getting put on this carriage with a bunch of armed guards and people making sure that he can't get away. And they're shipped out only for us to find out moments later that this isn't actually Gellert Grindelwald. The real Gellert Grindelwald has in fact already escaped. He has actually been posing as Abernathy, and Abernathy has been posing as him. And so then Grindelwald, no longer disguised as Abernathy, goes after the carriage and attacks it, thereby taking out almost every single wizard in there other than his own follower, and getting back the Blood Pact, as well as freeing Abernathy from his imprisonment. And this scene really makes no sense. And not because any of the magic is weird or something that we completely haven't seen before in the universe. The thing that makes no sense is why. Once we find out that Grindelwald had already escaped custody, it really makes us wonder why he went through all this effort. I mean, was he just doing this to save Abernathy? Because nothing we've really seen so far about Grindelwald's character implies that he cares so much about one follower that he would actually go out of his way to save them.
So needy.
Especially when he appeared to be posing as Abernathy for a long time. Literally meaning he's been procrastinating his plans in order to plan for this escape. And at first glance, you might think he did it in order to recover the Blood Pact, but this doesn't actually hold up at all because it was him who gave the Blood Pact to Pickery. And had he just held on to it from the beginning, he wouldn't have had to steal it back from this carriage. And honestly, it took me a lot of rewatches in order to finally get some sort of semblance onto how this makes sense. And simply put, I think the best explanation for it is that Grindelwald's wand and the Blood Pact had never been in the same place at the same time. And so it would only be during a prisoner transfer that all of Grindelwald's important personal possessions would be along with him at the same time, and therefore be ripe for the picking. And therefore, I think that Grindelwald wouldn't have actually saved Abernathy if Pickery didn't remind him about the Blood Pact. If she had just forgotten about it, Grindelwald would have just held on to it and then had no reason to rescue Abernathy.
Abernathy.
And we found this?
And while that explanation does a great job at explaining why Grindelwald would do all of this, why he put in this meticulous planning in order to help one of his followers escape, a follower who I might add might just be able to plead Imperious Curse and therefore didn't really need help getting away. The only problem with this explanation is that it's extremely convenient. In order for it to make sense, Grindelwald's possessions, as well as him, would need to be transported with very little international supervision. In fact, everyone involved in the transport appeared to work for MACUSA except for one person. This would be the ICW's head of incarceration, Rudolf Spielmann. And Mr. Spielmann is possibly the driving force in this. Because you have to realize that if it wasn't for the fact that Grindelwald was being moved, It would have been impossible for him to recover the Elder Wand. It would have been impossible for him to recover the Blood Pact, because both those things were being held in MACUSA's custody. And so really, the rise to power is entirely at the fault of this person. A person who basically created the opportunity for Grindelwald to escape by forcing this prisoner exchange. A prisoner exchange, for whatever reason, had to take place at the dead of night, with really bad weather and bad visibility. Not the ideal time for you to be transporting the most dangerous wizard alive. But this, of course, is where Secrets of Dumbledore comes in. Because Secrets of Dumbledore establishes very early on that the German ministry has fallen, that Grindelwald has actually taken over the German ministry, all the way up to the German Minister of Magic, Anton Vogel, who was, at the time of Crimes of Grindelwald, the supreme mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards. Meaning that our friend Rudolf Spielmann here was actually working for Anton Vogel. And this, for the first time, offers us an explanation as to why this prisoner exchange actually happened. Because it seems like a bizarre coincidence in Crimes of Grindelwald that this opportunity happened, this prisoner exchange happened, giving Grindelwald the ability to escape. Unless we take what we learned from Secrets of Dumbledore and apply it backwards here. Because Grindelwald already had a large international following even at the time he was captured in 1926.
Grindelwald wants to see that piece destroyed. And for certain members of our community, his message is very seductive.
And therefore, it's quite possible that Anton Vogel was already a follower of Grindelwald even back then. Which then completely reframes Rudolf Spielmann's forced prisoner transfer of Grindelwald from the hands of MACUSA. It's no longer a random attempt to bring Grindelwald to justice, but instead a deliberate attempt to help Grindelwald escape. Which even goes to explain the last scene of this very breakout. Because at the end of this breakout, Grindelwald basically kills every single Auror who is there, taking out the people on brooms, taking out the carriage driver, and taking out the people in the carriage. But he does spare one life, a life he actually puts extra effort into protecting, literally using his magic to keep him safe. And that one person was Rudolf Spielmann. And while Crimes of Grindelwald basically portrayed this scene as Grindelwald just doing this in order to have someone alive to tell the story, once we find out that Anton Vogel and the German ministry was actually in Grindelwald's pocket, it completely reframes this as instead of Grindelwald doing this to save Spielmann's life for no other reason than notoriety, he was probably doing it just to protect one of his own followers. Anyways, guys, that's just what I'm thinking. Let me know if this actually solves this problem and makes this opening scene make sense, or if this was just a random side effect of Secrets of Dumbledore and probably wasn't valid at all. Anyways, don't forget to put your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!